The movie begins on the first day in the Sahara Desert, where a group of four friends is wandering around. Suddenly, they notice a heavy rain and are surprised to see rain in the desert. One of the friends suggests going back, concerned about the situation. However, the others find it amusing and convince everyone to continue enjoying themselves. Unfortunately, a massive flood suddenly occurs, causing panic among the group. David attempts to rush back, but they are unlucky and end up sinking. As the protagonist takes a breath and tries to call out her friends' names, she is also attacked by the storm. On the fifth day, the group is traveling across the Sahara Desert in a plane. Two of them are busy sending information to their co-workers and are slightly annoyed by their behavior. Suddenly, the pilots notice a ship that is on the verge of sinking. The plane is about to crash, but miraculously, they manage to save the aircraft. In the Hunley Naval Research Facility, located in Colorado, John was engrossed in his work, diligently monitoring the project's progress. However, his fiancée sneaked up behind him, attempting to have a bit of fun, and requested 15 minutes of his time to spend together in a lighthearted manner. Intrigued by her proposition, John eventually agreed and accompanied her. She led him to the rooftop, where she had set up a charming environment, evoking the atmosphere of a date. However, their enjoyment was abruptly interrupted as they became aware of the approaching storm nearby. Realizing the potential danger, they quickly rushed back inside to seek shelter. The urgency for a meeting was felt by everyone, and their superior provided a briefing on the storm. The unfortunate news was that the rainfall had escalated to 50 mm per hour, and each day the storm's coverage expanded, encompassing 320 kilometers in every direction. Based on calculations, it was now predicted that the storm would eventually engulf the entire planet within 5 weeks. Thus, they gathered to complete the Ark project within the limited time they had. However, another issue arose. Even if they managed to finish the project, there was no guarantee of survival for their families. Amid this concern, a captain arrived with vital coordinate information, indicating that the storm was dangerously close to their location. This spurred everyone to return to work, fully committed to the mission. On the 7th day in the Florida Keys, a significant amount of traffic congested the middle of a bridge. One of the drivers grew irritated by the closure. After some arguments with their friends, they decided to take the risk and attempt to cross the bridge by driving through. Tragically, without warning, the storm caused the bridge to collapse, leaving them all stranded there. In Rocky Mountain, Colorado, on the 9th day, there were DNA samples that were scheduled to arrive. Unfortunately, due to an earthquake, the train carrying the samples couldn't make it. Now, Tessa was tasked with joining the team to collect those samples within a tight time frame of 30 minutes. John, filled with worry, hesitated to send her, but realized he had no choice. He reminded her to be cautious, kissed her goodbye, before she hurriedly departed. Meanwhile, Purchase contacted his partner Amanda in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, urging her to leave the area. The storm showed no signs of stopping, and it eerily resembled the prophecies from the Bible. Amanda agreed to his warning. After the phone call, she asked her friends to accompany her. Initially hesitant, they eventually agreed, except for her friend Keely, who opted to spend intimate time with her boyfriend instead. As they set out, they encountered heavy traffic on the road, becoming trapped. In light of the situation, they decided to take a boat. Simultaneously, the team with Tessa arrived at a specific location and boarded the train. However, at the same time, Amanda and her friends were caught in the grip of the intense storm. Tragically, Keely and her boyfriend were also swept away by the storm. While they were in the process of collecting the spacemen, the captain urgently instructed them to return due to the intensifying thunderstorm. They successfully made it back to the helicopter, but unfortunately, the bottle containing the spacemen fell, leaving Tessa devastated. At the station, Captain Bridges' team arrived to inspect the Ark. John and Purchase were prepared to provide contrasting briefings on how it operated. However, they encountered an issue as the machine was malfunctioning. Their boss sternly warned them that there was no room for mistakes at this crucial moment, prompting Purchase to apologize to John. On the 11th day in Joliet, Illinois, the other team led by Amato landed, and stealthily approached their target. They skillfully bypassed the door lock and acquired the device they sought. However, when they attempted to exit, they encountered difficulty opening the door. After numerous attempts in hacking, they finally managed to escape and sought refuge in a corridor, feeling a sense of temporary safety. Unfortunately, their respite was abruptly interrupted by the arrival of a security guard. Amato swiftly incapacitated the guard and made their escape. Amanda and her friends safely landed at their designated location. However, unexpectedly, a sinkhole suddenly appeared. They hurriedly ran, but Amanda tragically fell into the hole. Her friends came to her aid, and they encountered an individual whom they promised to save in exchange for a ride to safety. Back in the station, Tessa informs her boss that there are still left species that they still need, and they try to figure out how to get those. Also, the helicopters won't work in such a storm, so they ask for the airplane, but she has only 2 days to deliver tasks by her side. So she accepts the mission to go again, and he takes the responsibility to tell John about her mission. Amanda and the team arrive at the place and ask the guards to let them in, but they don't allow them, so they start to fight. Suddenly, the storm flood arrives and everybody runs to save their life. Even though they struggle, they get to the rooftop. In the station, John was at work, and the Colonel Admiral came and tried to tell him softly as he sent her for the mission to the cave. Tessa arrives at the cave and starts to find the bees suspicious, but the storm is getting too near there. After a short while they find it, and when Lynn is about to catch it, the cave starts to crack and flood. They run out to save their lives, and arriving at the airplane, Taylor and his fellow help them to get in, but immediately they can't survive the storm flood, so Lynn starts to handle the captain role, and Tessa sits sadly for losing them without result, but surprisingly she gave Tessa some bees from her pocket, and this makes her smile. On the other side, Colonel Admiral knows about Purchase's phone call and angrily comes to confront him and tells him that his girlfriend was there with a lot of people, and both the company persons and the people with her are left there. But not only this, from now on, he will use his survival chance as anyone else, so they force him to leave the place. In the airplane, and Tessa learned the saddest news that they do not have much fuel to Destiny to the camp, so the only chance they have to survive is to jump. She hesitates, but there is no option. At the same time, John and Maddie ask about Purchase, as he was the one working on the crucial role, but they learn that he is dismissed from this, and this shocked Maddie, whose family is also there at St. Louis. Tessa and Lynn land safely, but suddenly they meet a group of gangsters. With the help of Ralph, who is leading folks, they can escape from their hands, but also in this situation, they should be given the chance to be saved to arrive safe. Lynn says no for this condition because she couldn't promise, but Tessa was willing to take the risk. On day 18, Tessa and Lynn arrive while the Colonel Admiral is looking at the Ark's progress. She explains the condition they face and how these people saved their lives, and as she promised them, the Colonel Admiral asks if their journey was successful or not. She answers yes, so he agrees. He urges her to change her clothes and get back to work. Outside, the situation gets worse, and Tessa is in the laboratory, but she stops her work because of morning sickness, and Lynn arrives there. She was 10 weeks pregnant, then they left. All of a sudden, the flood started to get near, and the lights started flickering, so the Colonel Admiral started the alarm to everyone there to get into the Ark. They were urging everyone, and at the same time, the flood was getting so close. Captain Bridge orders John to start the turbine, and he does so immediately after the place gets flooded. Amato gets in and the doors closed. The captain started the engine and learned that they had about 500 people there. Later, Tessa meets John, hugs him warmly, and tells him she and their baby are okay, but in the meantime, the turbine system gets on shot because it was unfinished on day 20. Maddie and John go to check and figure it out, but there was no chance to work on the system, and they are on the half power now. On day 23, John brings an idea of the last chance to work on it, and now Lynn and Amato agree to volunteer with him and go down to work. After a time, the storm was getting worse, and after a lot of work, sadly John was back by bringing only Lynn unconscious, and Amato was gone. Everyone got sad and they took her in to get help. On day 31st, Maddie urges John and Tessa. They find Lynn waking, and they are excited. She's a bit thirsty because of dehydration. She asks about Amato, but knows the sad news. Tessa checks her heartbeat rate and they make fun. On the other side, the storm is getting worse, and the massive wave hits their Ark, hitting the mountain chain. This leads everyone to shake. In the Ark between two peaks, they contact the captain about what is going on and the solution. but he tries to move it forward and reverse. They are stuck. So now they need some significant force like an explosive thing, and due to their talk, they learned that they can use the chemical Tessa uses to cool the DNA samples, and asks her how many tankers there. She assures them there are 8 per unit, but they only want 1, and they get back to the application. Now, Lynn and Maddie are prepared to dive and establish a connection with the tanker. Both of them embark on the mission. Tessa successfully connects the line, and the captains exert their best efforts to restart the engines and continue their journey. Despite facing numerous challenges along the way, they eventually arrive at the intended destination. Tessa, Lynn, and Maddie rise from the floor with a renewed sense of hope. Finally, they sound the alarm to the crew, signaling them to emerge and witness their successful survival after 40 days. They bask in the sunlight, grateful to have made it through. To their astonishment, they receive a phone call from survivors in Denver, and it turns out to be Purchase. He joyfully informs them that Tessa's family has survived and is safe. Furthermore, he has news for Maddie as well, revealing that her family and loved ones have also survived. The entire group shares in the happiness and relief, bringing the story to a close. And with that, the movie ends. We hope you enjoyed our recap. Watch our next videos on the screen, and don't forget for more amazing recaps. See you on the next one.